What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And it is, of course, brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. We are here to recap both Week 14 of the NFL season, as well as some of the college football conference championship games, mainly the Big Ten championship game. And I assume we'll talk a little bit about the SEC championship. But before we get into it, on this beautiful Sunday night, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing?
I'm okay. I'm a little bit disappointed about Ohio State, of course. But for every person who's disappointed on this podcast, there's one person who is incredibly gleeful about it. So there's some give and take, of course.
I'm not gleeful. I'm not gleeful that I was rooting for Ohio State.
You root against Ohio State. No, I won't accept
Everybody
this.
Go subscribe to the Stay Hot on Patreon and listen to what I had to say about this game before it happened. I was predicting Ohio State rolls. I was like, they're so talented. They're going to just kill everybody that they face. I want to be right. Okay?
Sure.
I want to be right. I don't want Ohio State to lose if I say they're going to roll.
Sure, but you're hitting me. I see Ohio State like Bo Jackson doesn't break a tackle or something. I look down at my phone. Does Ezekiel Elliott have any eligibility left? I get a notification on Twitter. We miss a field goal. LMAO with 19.
Of course, because that's funny. That doesn't mean I'm rooting for them. Mendoza.
Phone. Arvell reached. Did he even play today?
Did he? These are valid questions.
Complaining about the calls that Ohio State gets in their favor against Michigan. Posting in the chat BCC jokes about Ohio State fans after they lose. Really?
I'm just going about my day.
I was just putting my thumbs on my phone. Is that illegal now? Come on.
I mean, what do you want me to do? I'm not an Ohio State fan.
I'm not saying you're an Ohio State fan. I'm saying that if I'm trolling about every bad thing that a team does, and then posting
their
about
stadium
how
could have rode into Lake Erie, and it wouldn't really impact my life very much. So like when they lose a hilarious game and they miss a hilarious field goal, like I'm gonna hit the LMAO with several O's. But that doesn't mean that I was rooting for them to win or lose. Actually, I was rooting for them to win. I was rooting for them to win, so I could be right because I'm a mercenary in this college football world.
I was
a lone wolf, a jackal.
Because I live in Columbus.
Do we want to just talk about that game a little bit more here? Because we're already talking about it off the bat.
The plan was to go in chronological order, but that's sort of dead in the water at this point. Ohio State's offense. Look, okay, I guess, Matt, you've pointed this out before. Ryan Day needs to stop doing the playing not to lose bit.
I mean, that was one issue in the game. It wasn't the entire reason why they lost. But yeah, when they got the ball back with 2 minutes to go, they were more concerned about giving it to Indiana than they were about actually driving down and scoring. Incredibly weak. And Indiana was too cautious, not calling a timeout to try to get the ball back. So it's not like he was the only one doing that. But yep, that's the wrong call. He was wrong about that for sure.
I thought they should have gone
not to lose.
I thought when they lined up to kick that field goal, like they went for it the drive before.
That was a fine decision. They just missed.
No way. That was an atrocious decision. That was a terrible decision to kick that field goal. I mean, you need a touchdown to win the game at that point. You're down 10 to 13, right?
Yeah. They were down 3 points.
Yeah, they were down 3 points. So you need a touchdown to win the game. A field goal gives you nothing there. It doesn't give you the lead.
It actually ties the game up.
It ties the game up. That doesn't matter. You still need to go score.
It actually does, because then if you get a stop on the next possession, it
doesn't matter. You cannot win with that field goal. This is a terrible
argument. No, you're completely... If you're saying, like, you got to be aggressive and go for the win, I can get down with that. But if you're saying, like, the difference between being down 3 and it being tied is the same, like, no, because then Indiana got 1 first down and won the game after they were down 3. Would that have happened if it was 13-13? I don't think so. So, like, no, that's...
It was a horrific decision not to go for it with 1 yard. I mean, it was It was less than 3 minutes left in the game, 2:48. If you kick the field goal, even if you make it, you're probably not getting the ball back. You're kicking off to Indiana with a chance.
13-13. I think there's a real chance you get the ball back. I just disagree with this analysis. I understand
you would have one drive left with like a minute left, probably, if you get the ball back.
And then
you could get 1 yard
and tied, and it goes to overtime if you get the ball back.
You get a yard and you score a touchdown.
And 1 minute
is
forever in college when you can spike the ball and you only need to get into field goal range.
It was a bad. The analytics will tell you that was a clear go with an 8%
The analytics will tell you that it was a go. My whole thing is like they went for it the drive before, and then they settled to kick a field goal the second time.
This is their bigger issue is that they had 2 4th-and-1 situations and they come back with a combined 0 points and then lose the game by 3. That's their issue. And part of the problem and part of the reason why they went for it, the computers won't quite understand this, is because their short game play calling was absolutely trash. The idea that, first off, this was the jump the shark moment for the 13-14 personnel crap. All right, if you're Buffalo and the guy you're taking off the field is Josh Palmer, it's okay. If you're Ohio State, you do not take off Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith ever. Ever. Never 13 personnel. Never, ever, ever. Never 14. Never a million tight ends to throw the ball. Psychotic.
Yeah.
So that alone is an issue, not having Jeremiah Smith in every single red zone snap. And then the only like looks you give him are just the most obvious, like he's going to go for a fade because you're scared to throw it over the middle because you're scared of saying making a mistake. And then it's like, it doesn't matter if he's going up against some like 5'9", 170-pound guy. If you know it's going to be outside, it's going to be a really tough win. And and you're rolling out that way. It's like, it's just too scared to make a mistake. And then on top of that, saying they won on that sneak, and saying just for whatever reason does not want to just stay up and drive his legs a little bit. They're not asking him to be Josh Allen on those, but you can't like lean on your guys and just collapse. So that's more than anything what lost them the game is there are a couple of crucial plays right there, and they didn't convert. They missed the field goal and they didn't pick up the sneak. I think analytically, sure, going for it there and just trying to secure the win, probably the better play, but I don't really think that's what lost them it. It's just the fact that they didn't convert on either of those opportunities. You can't go 0 on 2 chances like that inside the 10.
Yes, definitely.
But I'll also say, like, if anything else, Ohio State's offensive line was super disappointing. Specifically, 77 Tegra was just terrible. And I have faith, like, you know, Ohio State, in my opinion, is going up against the second best team or the best team in college football, whatever you want to say, like the biggest competitor to them this year. And Indiana's defensive line is awesome. So it's easily the biggest test that unit has seen. When they took 77 out, things got a little bit better. Like they were able to move the ball more. And who knows what they'll be able to think up play calling wise, because they get a month to prepare now. They get a month off, which I feel like is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think I look at this game and I say it's a brutal loss. It sucks not to get it. But if Ohio State can learn from what they did wrong here, they'll be positioned okay to go on a run in the playoffs. They're very fixable things for the most part, because the defense on the other side, I thought, played their ass off. And while like Mendoza hit a couple of big time shots, like, man, those weren't even easy ones, right? I thought on a couple of those, like, dang, that's really good. You got a hand in there and you don't get it. It's like, well, that's how it goes sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I thought a lot of those Mendoza deep shots were just really great plays by the receiver, because a lot of them felt kind of short. Like the receiver would win at the line, and the camera pans, they've got 3-5 yards of separation.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the DB is able to close because the receiver has to slow up a good bit on it. I did not come out of this game feeling particularly great about Mendoza.
Honestly, I'm with you there, Blaiden, and it's going to be the hottest take in the world after he knocks off Ohio State, right? But on one hand, I think Mendoza showed a lot of poise, right? And he's cool, calm, collected under pressure, and they're 13-0, right? And he's leads the league in touchdowns, and he's going to win the Heisman, and it's fine. I think that's all deserving for him. But I do think there's some truth to what Johnny Manziel said and got cooked for on Twitter. That
he got cooked for it because the same was true for him.
Well, he ran around a lot. I
He
just
did run
think
around a lot,
I always
yeah.
think these one-on-one fades when quarterbacks hit them can be very, very overrated from a QB skill standpoint. When a wide receiver wins clean against one-on-one coverage and you hit him like after just hitting the top of your drop and throwing, to me it's good stuff from a quarterback, but it's not quite what I'm looking for of like, man, that's a really, really elite quarterback. Like that's really elite. Like Drake May, when he was a prospect, he would no look pass. He'd move zone defenders. He'd break tackles in the backfield. Like those are the kinds of things that make you a crazy prospect in my eyes. Or if you get through a million reads, like under pressure, pocket collapsing, like a million reads. I'm being hyperbolic. There's 5 maximum that you can make.
I think people were going to give you grace and
no, they thought he actually.
Let me be very clear. If you get through all 5 reads or whatever in a tight pocket, those are always a little bit more impressive than like
scanning the crowd. He's a fan and out of bounds. He's a fan and out of bounds. He's a fan and out of bounds.
That's the ref. That's the sticks guy. He's getting
That's my coach.
He's raiding the whole stadium. That's what Daniel Jones was doing in New York. I can't make jokes about that. That's fucked up of me.
Well, I'm poor Daniel Jones, man. I guess we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
You wanted to talk about that game, but I'll say this.
Yeah.
If you have
no, I don't have anything more to say.
Okay,
I thought it was a good game from Mendoza, but not like it wasn't quite Stroud.
Their receivers are really good, and I thought on a few of the deep ball throws, it was like because he missed a deep shot that should have been like another big touchdown for sure. Albeit, Ohio State had those moments too, and you know what? Indiana also missed a field goal while we're talking about it. So I do think that Ohio State lost a few more of the high leverage plays, but. And I'm hopeful that could be flipped in another potential rematch. But Indiana's a really good team. I am disappointed Ohio State didn't win, not only because of the team that I'm rooting for and it's a Big Ten championship game, but I was dying to know what were they going to do with the Heisman if Sayin won but played a stinker. Because
Jeremiah Love probably
the issue I was realizing is like truly it's Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football. That's and we all kind of like on some level know that, or at the minimum know that he's like the best player on Ohio State, right? But because Sayin was like within striking distance of Heisman, like every OSU fan sort of backed off of that because it's like you don't want to go up against the quarterback award like. Mm-hmm. Fine, it could just be like Sayin. That's great. Like we'll just take that path because it's way easier. But then if Sayin plays a stinker, I don't know because like the ballots are like going in that night. Everybody walked into this game thinking like it's Mendoza or Sayin. Like winner's probably gonna take it, right? But I don't know if they'd all been able to flip to Love that quickly. I think it would have been a really weird one. I will say though, Sayin played a trash game.
Yeah, you really felt the inexperience of Mendoza, who has like, look, maybe those were A- throws or maybe even A throws instead of like A++ or whatever. At the end of the day, they were still money and still very valid Heisman moments in that game, and he really made the decision easy if you're a Heisman voter, I thought that night. So
sure. I mean, because Sayin just didn't see the field well, and he's always been that's been the thing that he's working through this season anyway. But he went up against a defensive line that was just crushing his offensive line, and
the disguises got him.
Dude,
disguises got him, and they got him in the Michigan game as well, at least early. So he's still young, like he's still got another year. I don't know what I think about him as an NFL prospect, but I do think he can continue to improve in college, and we'll see where we are next season. But I'm bummed, but I'm not like overly bummed.
I mean, they could still win the national championship pretty easily.
They could, right? I mean, they won last year after losing to Michigan, so.
While we're on the subject, do you think the committee did anything wrong?
I'm just having such a hard time caring at this point. It's just so
very
much
valid
like
answer.
Weeping and whining. My opinion is like, you really cannot set a precedent of moving teams down in the conference championship games if you want there to be a conference championship game. If you're moving guys down for losses, like it's over. Teams are just going to be like, I'm not playing that when they're 20 point, like BYU was a 14-point dog, right? Now, of course, it didn't matter whether or not they got moved down because they weren't in regardless. But like a team could walk into that situation and it could be that they're in, but only by an inch. You can't set that precedent. But also then there's a lot of teams who like play a bunch of tough games in conference and don't make the conference championship game. And then there's like another team that happens to get a really easy draw in the conference because there's 40 teams in every conference. And then they finally play one real game. They get smoked in the championship game, but it doesn't count against them because it was the wrong like, it's like, man, the whole thing sucks. It's not a well put together system. I also am fine with Notre Dame getting left out. I mean, they lost to Miami. I get it. You can respect the head to head. I understand the other side of it, but like, there's just only so crazy you can convince me that respecting the head to head when two teams are right next to each other in the rankings is.
Right. Yeah. I my girlfriend after the Ohio State game was like, so Ohio State's not going to make the playoffs now. And I was like, oh no, they're definitely, they're going to get a bye.
She thought it was 2012.
and I was like, so I'm explaining to her the whole, like, yeah, they used to have just number 1 and number 2 would play in the national title. But then everyone complained that, like, well, what about number 3 and number 4? They should deserve a shot. And so they made a 4-team playoff, but then everyone complained about number 5 and number 6 being so close. It was like, they deserve a shot. And so they expanded to 8, and then everyone complained about.
I genuinely heard some college football analysts hit what would solve all this debate expansion? It's like, that just moves it down 4 rungs, you idiot.
It's honestly amazing.
Think about it for 1 second.
After they went from 2 to 4, you should have been able to recognize, like, oh, we're never solving
recognition.
This. Because at least when it was 2 teams, because you went to 2 teams to try to stop arguments, right? Because you had the voting or whatever, which makes sense. But when you went from 2 to 4, it's like, okay, some of the teams that we're leaving out are like undefeated Power 5 teams. And it's like, they just happen to have the weakest schedule. It's like, all right, fair. Then you go to 4 and it's like, all of a sudden the 5th team's complaining. It's like, this isn't ever gonna stop. And clearly it's worse than ever now. There's more teams than ever that believe they deserve a shot. And the resumes are mostly hilarious.
I have to say though, listening to the coaches beg and reason and say like whatever they have to say to get in is pretty entertaining. I loved the BYU coach saying, we lost to the best team in the country twice. Who else can say that? Like, sure, man. Sure.
Oh my God.
Texas Tech is not the best in the country. They're actually ranked number 3 or 4.
I'm also fairly worried about the group of 5 auto bids. I'm just saying, like, people are already kind of sick of them as a whole. JMU and Tulane, like, it's all on the line. One of you guys has got to find a way to win it, because otherwise people are going to say like this.
And they're playing. It's going to be like
Notre Dame and Texas fans are feeling like you're the reason, JMU.
And I kind of see what they're saying. If the committee is to get the 12 best teams in there.
Auto bids in the NFL, very cute, very fun. Sometimes we get a sneaky, one more loss than the last wild card spot. And in college football, it's like this is like the 35th best team. No disrespect, not saying that's anybody this year.
Yes, I watched some Arch Manning tape, and I guess I haven't watched any JMU tape, but I'm thinking that he may have hit some throws that the JMU quarterback cannot, but maybe I'm wrong. I could be mistaken.
You could be.
I would have left Notre Dame, Miami, and Alabama all out. And I would have put in Texas, Vanderbilt, and BYU.
They should have put the real Miami in the playoffs.
Bro.
Didn't they play in the MAC champion? They didn't win though.
No, they got smoked.
That's tough. Yeah, they should put in Duke.
Hey, the last thing I'll say about college football before we move on to the NFL slate. I did not see enough from Mendoza or from Simpson. And I did see enough, I think, from Sanders that the Browns should not take a quarterback this year in the draft.
Depends on who declares. Because I think I do think that Moore and Arch are kind of intriguing, or as intriguing as Mendoza at the very least.
Okay.
Or even more intriguing.
Also depends on where the Browns draft and what a trade up would look like. I don't think that's a crazy take, but I do think we're kind of at a not enough information point right now with
where I'm
Shador having more games to play.
I do think Shador and Mendoza, if you were to line them up skill for skill, it would be closer than you'd expect for the presumptive favorite for number 1 overall versus 5th round pick.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
And
How did Shador play today? I heard good things, and I saw a couple of highlights, but I didn't watch the game.
There is still a lot of easy button stuff. Like he'll hit a check down to Sampson or to Judkins, and he'll take it 50 yards. Same with Fannin. But he had a throw over the middle, a crosser to Judy that went 60 yards for a touchdown. He hit a nice throw down the sideline to Fannin. He's got some really good throws in his bag. He also did hit just an awful interception. Jeffrey Simmons collapsed the pocket. He did his try and get away. It was 2nd and 20. He's just trying to get it all back at one time, and it fails. And
the propensity for dumb shit is definitely way higher for Shador.
The taking sack stuff, you just can't.
He had one really bad sack and one really bad pick, but outside of that, I thought he was pretty good. And it feels like he's getting better every single week. And I feel like in that sense, if that continues for the rest of the year, I do think I'd rather have him
it also
on his current trajectory than
on the price of the quarterback. Is Cleveland sticking with their first pick and taking one, or are they giving up both their first and a second? Those are two very different things to me.
They have the 4th pick. The Giants have the number 1 pick after this weekend.
Yeah, because the Saints won too.
Carnell Tate's going first overall. Let's go hype, man. Yeah, that's all I got on college football.
Yeah, I want the Browns. I want the Browns to take offensive line and receiver. If we got Carnell Tate, I'd be over the moon, dude. So
good player.
Great player. But let's talk about some NFL football here. The Detroit Lions beat up on the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night. Jared Goff masterclass in this one.
He had some nails throws.
He did. I mean, we were talking about kind of these teams sort of in opposite ends. We were like, dude, the Cowboys kind of turning things around. Their defense is really starting to come together. And Dak's playing as good as football as he has all year. And the Lions felt like they were kind of on a downward slope. How do we feel now?
Goff played a good game. The Lions' weapons had a good game. Shout out Jamison Williams. Shout out Jahmyr Gibbs. Mm-hmm. But I do still kind of think my takeaway from this is Dallas's defense has a pulse after the Quinnen Williams trade. It is not some well-rounded, perfect unit or anything. Their secondary talent is, I think, overall still pretty rough. I mean, Ravel had that just brutal touchdown that he led up to Tesla where he just misjudges the ball. A lot of the times guys are just kind of getting run away from. Hooker got juked and sat down out of his shoes. It's really tough too, because I feel when you didn't get the Goff right away, there's so many times that he could just get it out to Gibbs quick, and Gibbs is one of, I don't know, I'm ranking guys who consistently go out as just check down or short yard and what they can turn it into. He might be the 101 in that sense. And there's so many times where he turns 5 yards. If you don't have somebody on him or you get everybody too deep, he's going to get 15 on you. And that happened several times this game. So, if the Cowboys wanted to make the playoffs, it would have been really nice if they had a defense that could give them a fighting chance and in more games, rather than only for half of the season. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess we've made this point about them 1,000 times, but yeah, I just think overall they're still not the greatest unit ever.
They can't have Reddy Stewart guarding Amon-Ra St. Brown and expect Quinnen Williams to make that much of a difference. I think watching the game, it felt like Quinnen Williams was kind of ghost and was getting locked up and was on the ground too much. Watching the film, I thought, oh, he's more disruptive than I thought he was watching the broadcast. He's winning. He's got a couple really good ones. But man, Goff was just able to get rid of the ball fast. He was able to make some plays under pressure. I think more in this game than any other game. And yeah, just the Lions skill position group, man, especially Jameson Williams these last 2 weeks has been playing out of his mind good. 144 yards on 10 targets versus Green Bay, 96 on 9 targets versus Dallas. That's what, 240 yards over the last 2 games. That's pretty damn good. And with him, he's just the fastest player in the league. And I think certain things get unlocked for the whole offense when that is true. I think that was true for Deshaun Jackson. I think it was true for Tyreek Hill, although Tyreek Hill was obviously the most well-rounded. And I think it's true for Jameson Williams now, where it's just he spaces the field so nicely for the intermediate concepts. When he's running the post on Yankee, like that crosser underneath the post is just going to always be there after the play action, because you cannot ever creep down on that crosser, because he's just going to put so much distance between himself and any corner.
And if you do, it's a touchdown. And you were texting me about how fast Jameson Williams is.
And you gave me the answer that I was looking for, where it's like he's one of the speedy guys in the league, obviously, along with Achane Worthy and whoever else you want to throw up there. But he's nearly 6'2", and when he strides out at the beginning of his routes, when it's not press coverage, like there's just no one else who really looks like him. It's bizarre to watch. And you said Usain Bolt, and that's kind of what I had in my head, where it's like you watch Usain Bolt compared to the other track guys. It just you notice how tall he is, and it's
why no one is ever going to break Usain Bolt's 100-meter dash record. Like it's not like Noah Lyles was never going to come close, because he's just not tall. He's like 6 inches shorter than him. Like he never had a prayer. Christian Coleman is probably the most explosive track runner I've ever seen in my life. In the 60 meters, he's incredible, but he's basically unbeatable in that race. But in 100 meters, he can't even really touch anyone because he's 5'8". He just doesn't have, it just takes too much energy to move the same distance. It's just not really doable.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. And I think that the length that he's got and the taller frame allows him to pack on just a little bit more weight or deal with a little bit more physicality than some of the other just pure speedsters of the world. And he's just good enough at all the other wide receivers things. He's not fantastic. Yeah. There's a lot of things where he's not elite at it. Like, I don't think he's elite tracking the football at all. I don't think he's elite working through physicality at all. But he checks those boxes enough where the speed just becomes a force multiplier, and he really is unguardable in certain ways, even when his wipe aways from jams at the line of scrimmage like aren't all that strong, and even when he can't really track the ball over his shoulder that crazy well, like he checks those boxes more than some of the other speedsters of the world, and it is enough to make him just a very scary package overall. And his breakout in 2024, the Lions are top 10 in adjusted net yards per pass attempt. Each of this season and last season, they're top 10 in that number. They average 8 net yards per attempt since 2024 in the Goff era. And before Jameson Williams broke out, they were at 6.6 net yards per attempt. So like his breakout has really just been a boon for this offense, and their numbers the last 2 years are a bigger jump than what happened in 2022 when they got, or 2023 when they got Gibbs and Laporta. Like that just blows my mind. Like, you had these 2 really elite rookies, Gibbs and Laporta, and their efficiency metrics didn't jump up as much as they did when J-Mo broke out. Like he's a problem. And I think the Lions offense this year has been a lot better than I've given it credit for, probably like 30 points a game, 5th in yards per drive, 5th in offensive DVOA, at least going into Sunday. Maybe it's changed now. Like they really are scary on offense, even though they've lost Ragnow and their line is clearly worse. And J-Mo continuing to get better, to me, is the biggest part of that. And that was kind of my big takeaway from this game.
He's on pace for back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, so.
That's good. I will say on the other end, I'm a little disappointed because I thought Dak played a really good game. I thought he did a good job of dealing with pressure overall, even though he ended up taking 5 sacks. But a large part of that was Dallas's line had a brutal game. I know they're banged up. Nathan Thomas had a really, really rough game. I wonder how many starting tackles are, I don't know. Like he had one where, I mean, there were just several plays where like he just can't get set back quickly enough and he just gets beaten. Then it's like when you can set up off of that, Hutchinson, I think, got him like 3 times in a row at some point in this game late. So it was really tough. A lot of what Dak was doing was trying to work through that, and I thought it was impressive. They still put up 30 points, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Branch went down.
Performances like that, and Branch went down. Yeah, that's the other big thing. And prognosis on that is bad, yeah?
Achilles, yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough. That sucks.
2 Achilles tears in the same week is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go to the Colts game, which I was watching some of up until the point that Daniel Jones went down. It was a weird one. He just like collapsed, and when he was non-contact, then immediately started slamming his helmet into the ground. You're like, that's not good.
No.
This is a brutal, brutal break for the Colts. This really sucks. They were having truly like a magical season up until this point, and they went all in to try to be good right now, which is, I don't even think it was necessarily like a terrible decision, but it's also like a very fun one. It's like, that's exciting. I'm interested to watch them and see how good the team can be going forward. And then Daniel Jones like is playing through a fractured leg, and your backup quarterback has an orbital fracture on like a total fluke injury. At least, with Richardson, it'd be like super exciting. It's like, okay, it's kind of a wild card. Maybe he completes 47% of his passes or whatever, but
maybe he's better than Daniel Jones in this new infrastructure. Like it just,
yeah. It's like, we'll see or whatever.
Not, but it is a wild card that Riley Leonard isn't quite.
With Riley Leonard, it's like, I was not super high on him coming out of college. I thought that he was a huge limiting factor for Notre Dame in the national title. And I just think, I mean, it's not exactly a hot take. I think most teams on their 3rd string quarterback are going to have a pretty hard time. And I don't know what they're going to do. Is it just going to be Riley Leonard starting for the rest of the year? And I don't know if they're going to even make the playoffs if that's the case. I mean, are they in the picture right now? They might not be.
I have the standings.
Because the Texans
won. At least
won.
I had them up. Okay, they are currently 8th. Yes, because the Texans won.
Sucks.
It's tough to see them making up ground. Their current playoff probability is 42%, and I'm not sure if that really factors in the Riley Leonard of it all.
And they go Seahawks, 49ers, Jaguars, Texans.
Yeah, they'll probably lose out.
That really sucks, man.
Are there any quarterbacks who are like available free agents right now?
The issue is that, like, I know the Colts want somebody who's kind of physical and can be a threat running. I mean, that's why they have Leonard, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, obviously on a completely different level, but you know what I'm saying. So I think, I don't know, I guess we'll see where Leonard is, but even if they had Daniel Jones right now and they were sitting at 8-5, you'd be pretty worried about whether or not they're actually going to make it. So, again, the schedule's tough and they're sitting on the outside looking in.
Yeah. The only available quarterbacks, free agents on Spot Track are CJ Beathard, Jeff Driscoll, and Jake Fromm.
Wow. Yeah. So, and you don't have your 1st round pick. So you might finish with a losing record and give up your 1st rounder. That sucks, man. And if Daniel Jones tore his Achilles, I mean, that could be an issue for next year too.
Yeah, he's a free agent. Yeah. He's a free agent. So even if you bring him back though, is he going to be ready to go week 1? That doesn't feel like it's a guarantee. And then you're paying Daniel Jones like what money to be your answer at quarterback, and it's like, well, he was he threw a pick before getting hurt in this game, and that had continued kind of a downward trend for him in the first place. I don't think he's going to be
pay him off an Achilles based off of a 12-game sample size. You just can't do it for a guy who's been in the league 7 years.
No.
But that sucks. That means it has to be Richardson. You're back here. It's got to be Richardson.
Or Blaiden. Right? Who else could it be, maybe?
Matt Corral.
No, that's not who we talked about. That's not who we talked about.
Kyler.
Yes.
Yeah, it could be Kyler.
We may have called it on the Patreon, Blaiden, although we thought maybe Daniel Jones would just stink it up the last quarter or so of the season, and then they move on from him Daniel Jones style.
But now that I mention it, Matt Corral is an available option.
He sure
honestly,
like right now, they could bring him in right now.
Blaiden is always right ball. Might move me more than CJ Beathard.
This is our greatest test yet. Matt Corral will be the starting quarterback for the Colts week 1, and
Please.
It will go good.
No, he's going to be the starting quarterback next week, dude. Like,
I gotta say, I did continue watching after the Jones injury. Howard made 2 nice throws that were called back by penalty. All right, let it be known that he threw a back shoulder ball to Pittman that was nice, and it got called back. That was a touchdown, and he still ended with 0.01 EPA, so he was perfectly neutral in his. Although I think the game was over, and EPA knows that, so it's like nothing he does really impacts. And that's not true. Actually, that's not how EPA works. That's how win percentage works. But he wasn't the worst. He didn't go in and like immediately throw a bunch of picks, but I think they dropped some picks. Sure. And I think they got their hands on a lot of balls.
I stayed and watched for a little bit longer, and then they moved the ball a little bit, but Leonard like threw multiple, thank God it's raining passes that didn't get picked off, and then
thank God it's raining is a good way to put it.
And then like Taylor fumbled and the Jaguars immediately score, and you're like, God bless you, man, that sucks.
Yeah, when Taylor fumbled, I was like, I'm good.
He was a little bit too galvanized to redeem Daniel Jones on that play. It's not like he needed to reach for that. It wasn't 4th down.
Yeah.
But sucks for the Colts. Like,
do we want to talk about potentially, that was like kind of a bummer of a game, no disrespect to the Jaguars. No. Do we want to talk about a game that was the opposite of a bummer? It was awesome to watch. Bills versus Bengals.
Sure,
First off, aesthetically, will be the best game of the year. I have no question about it. Perfect amount of snow. Affects play, not too much. Just looks great. And the jersey matchup is fire as well. This was a great one. And you also got great quarterback play. This is why we quarterback. Allen had the touchdown to Khalil Shakir on the scramble drill. I don't even know how he thought to throw that. And I went and watched the replay a million times. It's like, all right, dude, sure. Burrow's pocket navigation, stepping up and hitting a bunch of throws. Him and T were on the money today. And a lot of it is T had a great game and went up and got those balls, but they were very well placed. Or like even on the final sequence, like he hit, not the final sequence, but like before the 2 minutes when they were driving down, trying to come back, and he hits T deep. The play before that to Chase Brown that was dropped, that was a crazy throw. So
I can't believe he hit like back-to-back perfect throws in the end zone.
He had another one to Gesicki, a nasty touchdown where he was moving up and floated over. It's like, he was balling today. Both these guys are awesome.
But Matt, why did they have to come back in the first place?
Okay, the ending sequence to this game is insane, and I have it written down on my notes just because it's so crazy. 8 minutes to go, the Bengals go up 28-18. Allen then runs for 40 yards and a touchdown on cover 0 because they don't keep contain and they don't stay honest, and Dawkins does a good job like blocking inside and whatever. Then when the Bengals get the ball back, screen pass, batted up, pick 6 by Benford. Then the next drive.
This was not batted up. He reached up and grabbed it out of the air.
He reaches up, grabs it out of the air, just runs it back for a touchdown. All of a sudden the Bills lead. And then when the Bengals get the ball back, almost immediately, ball tipped, interception. Was it one play and then that happened, or was it like literally the next offensive play?
I thought it was second
Bengals
down.
Right. Okay. So then, the Bengals were up 28-18. Then they're down 28-32, and the Bills have the ball in a 3-minute span.
Oh, no, it was the first play. It was the first play.
In 3 minutes, they're losing the game, and they don't have the ball. Then the Bengals couldn't get any pressure on that 4th and goal that the Bills went for, and it was an easy just wait around until something happens touchdown for Allen. And you assume, that's the game, and also hilarious way for the Bengals to lose this game. But then, like, with 2:48 left on the clock, you're like, okay, maybe if you get a bomb, something super quick, you could stop the clock 2 times and get it back with 1:20, only needing a field goal. That's like not unrealistic. And they pull it off. They hit the monster throw to Gesicki and then one throw to Brown that's incomplete. And then they hit the one to T. And when the Bills get the ball back, they don't go for the onside. They want the field position. I don't know what the right decision is there, honestly. It's pretty close, probably, right? But either way, they get a sack on Allen. They get him into 3rd and 15, and they don't spy him. And he after he ran for a 40-yard touchdown, just nobody in the second level to do anything. No spy. Bills win.
No.
Brutal one for the Bengals to lose when I feel like with the way the other teams in the AFC North are playing, they really could have had a shot to go on a run.
This was an absolute must win for them as far as, I mean, every game's a must win for them. But like, yeah, Matt, the Ravens lose, the Chiefs lose, which we'll talk about. The Browns were eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh yeah, and they're 4-9 now.
They're 4-9, which like all
was a
but
must-win.
knocks them out.
Yeah.
So
they had to go and get this one. You had to win it when you were up 10 points. And I will say the Bengals linebackers are truly atrocious. I mean, this was
I had hope for Demetrius Knight, man, but like, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this bad for sure. I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than they just can't stick with anybody. Dawson Knox went out today and proved why he has the 4th highest cap hit among tight ends because he was absolutely feasting and everybody was. And then on every run, it's just so easy. So, yeah,
maybe that is why
you can't live with that linebacker play at all. They're just behind. They don't react quick and they aren't quick enough to stick with anybody.
I should not have had Knight ranked higher than Schlesinger just because I was like, bro, Knight's just like the best tackler. Like he's just like, if he hits you, you're going down. But like his hips are just so stiff, man. It just doesn't matter.
There's just no discipline. There's no discipline. Every play action just sends them scattering.
Mm-hmm.
Like dandelions when you blow.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to dodge a floating dandelion seed. That's pretty much what you've got in the Bengals secondary is just floating dandelion seeds.
Thank God.
Every play action just. But this was still, I thought, I mean, was it an MVP type game from Allen? I guess you can say, well, the defense bailed him out with the 2 picks and the Bengals defense is pretty atrocious. But like, man, the plays that he makes are just like
say whatever,
unbelievable. And
say
it's like
whatever about the Bengals, but the Shakir throw was so
the
crazy.
Shakir throw is maybe throw of the year. I mean, just dancing with the defensive end on the sideline, like staggering backwards. He can't do anything about it because like, well, if I commit to anything, Josh Allen's just going to do the opposite and run by me, right? So like just doing that whole dance and then no window at all, but the defender's back is turned. So it's like, I can just whiz this right by his ear hole. And I just don't understand the level of accuracy that you have where you are staggering backwards under pressure like that. And sure, the defender's back is turned, but you can't hit his back. You know what I mean? You can't hit his helmet. You can't hit his arm. You can't hit his torso anywhere.
Right.
You got to avoid him, even though he can't maybe make a play on the ball. You got to aim it above him to the left a little bit where it just whizzes right by his ear hole and Shakir is able to make the play. Like that window is inches, 20 yards downfield, under pressure, 4th down. Like how on earth do you have the accuracy to do it? I feel like arm talent unlocks accuracy. And when you talk about Allen, you talk about arm talent, but the accuracy, just like the sheer,
there's a lot of dudes with strong arms who don't hit that.
I wish I could legitimately see like where the window actually is. Like what would the margin of error actually been for that throw? Because I think it would be shocking the like actual paths the ball could take to get that completed. I really think the margin of error there was just like completely zero.
We have a buddy that could probably do it. That's what kills me about it. It's just like he just didn't look open in the slightest. It wouldn't have been something that I would have ever thought to do, even looking back at it in slow motion from a camera angle that shows me everything, much less being him in that moment with suboptimal camera angle as being a person, right? I guess. So yeah, that was a crazy one.
Absolutely ridiculous. But shout out the Bills. They're staying well within the playoff race here as far as, you look at a lot of the other major AFC contenders falling off pretty drastically here down the stretch, but Buffalo staying strong for as long as they can. The other crazy AFC matchup that we had was Steelers and Ravens, because this was for the lead in the AFC North, and the Steelers came out on top. How concerned are you about the Ravens receivers?
I'm extremely concerned, man. I mean, the season is pretty much over in Baltimore. I mean, it's not totally 100% over. You can still play the Steelers again, and the Steelers could lose every game like that they play. They're not exactly a juggernaut still.
It's becoming a the team that you are problem, not a can we make the playoffs problem for sure. You're 6-7. It's not good.
And the Cowboys are 6-6-1. That pretty much is 6-7. But yeah, they've got a 32% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, the wide receivers are a problem, but the pass rush is the biggest problem. The pass rush is absolutely the biggest problem. Like, Matabike went down, and the season ended there. It really just has been unsalvageable for that unit since that pass rush juice went away. And the sim pressures just confuse them. Like these blitzes are just not dialed in like they were under McDonald. And it's just pretty much over. There's only so much that the spine of the defense can do with Roquan and Kyle Hamilton. And I'm sure you could go through and nitpick even some of their plays, right? But so it's just not a good unit. Aaron Rodgers ducked under Mike Green. Like, Mike Green had a free hit on him, and Rodgers ducked under him and escaped and went out the other side. It's like, okay, so even when they get pressure, they don't have the athletes to finish even on decrepit Aaron Rodgers, who looked absolutely vintage today.
Yeah. Mike Green not being a positive is really a problem.
It's a tough one.
Very tough. Very tough. It's just unmanageable. It's unmanageable. And on top of that, like, the Steelers had at least 4 20-plus yard plays after not having one the previous 5 weeks. And Rodgers was really dialed on those throws. Like, there was some good coverage that they were able to get buckets on and that sort of thing. But I mean, it's just Rodgers looked vintage. Rodgers looked like prime Rodgers in this game a little bit. Like, it was making me feel things. I can't even lie. And like, maybe if he can play that way the rest of the season, the Steelers are a little bit scarier than you give him credit for if he can find some sort of old form here at the last minute. But I really do think it's just a Ravens defense stat more than a Aaron Rodgers stat, I think, that we're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers has had some good games this year for sure. He hasn't been like a disaster for them. They have a winning record. They're on the top of the AFC North right now. But yeah, the defense is bad and the receivers are bad. How I am very curious how this Mark Andrews contract is going to age. I'm really worried it's going to age poorly.
Yeah. And the fourth down to end this game, it was looking like Lamar was targeting an open DeAndre Hopkins in the back of the end zone. And Mark kind of came up from out of nowhere and tipped the ball away from D-Hop. And when you saw it from the end zone angle, Brian Baldinger did a breakdown on it. You're like, ooh, that's really bad. And of course, it's Mark Andrews at the bottom of this, just selling the team kind of in a playoff type game again. And why did he get rewarded with that big contract? What did you think about the likely catch at the end, or non-catch?
See, it's tough because the Steelers had a play very similar to that earlier in the year, and that got called a touchdown. But I haven't actually gone to look at the steps exactly and be like, did he make a football move or whatever they want to call it?
Mm-hmm.
I think those plays are just going to be hard to call. My general take is that in real time, I'm watching that sort of play out. The ball comes out of his hands. He doesn't pull it to his chest. To me, that's not a touchdown. But I can see like, oh, he got 3 steps. That should be a touchdown. Like, I can get it. And like, maybe that isn't like an appropriate use of like super slow-mo. But like in real time, to me, it doesn't look like a touchdown. Matt, you're muted.
I know. I have a different question. The James Cook fumble. Did you really think that should have been a touchback? Theo, you tweeted about it.
I thought it was when I first saw it because I'm like, oh my God, he clearly fumbled reaching for the goal line. So I just kind of assumed that like it went out of the back of the end zone. But then from the other angles, it did clearly look like it went out without crossing
I was just
over the pylon.
Because when they came back and they showed that angle, it's like, nope, they got that one.
No, I was being super reactionary. I'm like, oh, he fumbled and it's out of the back of the end zone. Like, but then I didn't see the angle where it's not clearly out of the back of the end zone. It's
interesting.
It was out on the 1-inch line, and then he fumbled a few plays later. Just a crazy game. He never really had that handoff. He just was kind of juggling it the whole way, and one little ounce of contact knocked it out. It's a problem with Cook. We ranked our running backs last time, and I mean, that run is a great example. What got him down to the pylon was just incredible. So it's like, I want to call him top 5, and I did call him top 5.
I mean,
but he has fumbled a lot.
Yeah. I do also see a lot of people talk about like they need to abolish the fumble out of the end zone, a touchback rule. I think that's a perfectly fine rule.
I think that logic completely follows.
Right?
I've like had the it come to God. No, I'm disagreeing with you.
You're disagreeing with me?
Yeah,
I think the logic follows.
I'm not gonna go to war about this on Twitter, but only because there is like a psychotic group of people who have like market corrected, and now it's like, no, it has to be like that. Of course, it's like, okay. Any other time, it does just stay with the team. It would make just as much sense for it to be at the 20 with like for the team that has still had the ball, right?
It would make just as much sense, but I don't think that it necessarily makes more sense one way or the other, just because the end zone always has different rules, like the end zone's kind of a special zone, right? You cross the goal line, it's worth 6 points. It's not worth 0. And if you get tackled in your own, it's worth 2 and you have to punt the ball away. Like if, you're trying to, I don't know, the end zone is what you're trying to guard. And when you fumble it through the end zone, I just can understand it treating it differently than the normal sidelines. Like
to me, it's like the end zone.
That's why I won't go to war about it. But like, to be clear, it still would be treating it differently if you put it all the way back on the opponent's 20. That would still be an extra punishment. It just there's like, there's a reason why they don't just like do the regular rules when it's in the end zone. It's not because the end zone is a special area as much as it is like, well, how would that even work? It can't be a touchdown automatically, obviously. Right. That's why there's special rules. It just can't be an automatic touchdown. You have to have the ball. I think it could be at the 20 and that would be fine, but I don't care ultimately.
It's almost like treating the end zone as like a player for your team. Like it's treating the end zone like a Bengals defender. If James Cook fumbles and it goes back of the end zone, it almost got gobbled up by a Bengals player because it's the Bengals end zone.
But see, that's just not what happens at all. That is my opinion.
Well, I mean, it's not.
And
what
that's
happens.
Why it's different than
the end zone belongs. The end zone belongs to the team that's defending it. So I think it makes sense to sort of classify it that way. I can understand there being some begrudge against that, but I think it's a perfectly fine rule to have.
I enjoy mystical quality end zone. So I'm very for
I can get down with that. And I understand a lot of the people who get mad about this are like people with like sports bets who are pissed because it's like fucking up their parlay, and
their family is on the line.
When those people join your side on like any argument on like you're done for. You're never gonna win Twitter over. So
Dave Portnoy being like, how is BYU out? It's like, don't you have like $100,000 on them being in? I don't want to hear what you have to say at any point, but like I definitely don't want to hear what you say when I know that you have a huge bet on BYU. He's like,
when Myles Garrett doesn't make any
sense.
When Myles Garrett didn't break the sack record today. No.
Hey, you only had the one. Weak as hell.
Only got to 20.
It's tough. It's tough. He'll still probably get the record though. Do you guys want to move on to Packers Bears?
Yes, I do. Caleb Williams rollout cheese. We've got to patch it. This was a hilarious game. They truly did just say, I mean, they didn't say it. A lot of times he just scrambled out, but like, he should just do that every single play. He should roll out to his right every play and try to throw something scrambled drill every play because he becomes the most accurate, most talented quarterback in the entire NFL. It really is something to watch. You talk about guys making throws like off of weird platforms and being accurate then. This was a game for it because Williams was doing that, and then Jordan Love Farms doing that, just fading away.
And when he did it uncontested on the Watson touchdown, it's brought a smile to my face.
I think you brought that up a couple of episodes too, and then I saw him do that. I'm like, yeah, he is just fading away for nothing. But you know what? Outside of the one just like totally bizarre interception, and I don't know if he really does throw particularly bad interceptions or if after the 49ers game, I'm just like overestimating how bad they are compared to the average interception, but like truly, like what the hell was he doing on that throw?
Right.
But outside of that, he was incredibly accurate. He played an incredibly good game, I thought. And honestly, I thought one of my big takeaways from this game was the Packers receiver room is maybe starting, like Reed is back and Watson had a great game and had some good moments coming to the ball and just it's like, man, I don't know if I'm like I don't know if I'm going to like rate the receiver room as a whole like crazy high yet, but I'm definitely seeing some more potential out of that group. And if Love is playing well, it's like, they've got one of the most efficient passing offenses in the NFL for a reason.
Christian Watson might have been another guy that we should have been talking about as like one of those tall speedsters.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, when he was on the field last year, and he wasn't even this good last year.
Yeah,
but when he was on the field last year, they're the most explosive offense in the league. I say it all the time. And when he got hurt, like their season just pretty much ended. Like that kind of height, weight, speed, that kind of ability to take the top off the defense and hit explosive plays. Like there is obviously the sum of the parts of the big plays is fantastic, but then there's just also an extra element to it. There just is. And yeah, it's He's been incredible. He has been absolutely incredible off the ACL. I don't think he'll win comeback player of the year or anything because Derek Brown is incredible and Christian McCaffrey is incredible and Dak is incredible, right? But like he's right there. And the drop rate is down this year a pretty good amount. On target catch rate is up from 96.1% to 89.7%. And should be even more once they update it for this game, because I don't think they dropped anything today, really. Maybe Dobbs had one you could chart. But I'm with you. I've been super happy to see a reliable receiver room, and Golden's done nothing, and it's not like he's done things wrong. He just hasn't done anything at all. And it because he isn't needed. He isn't really needed right now. And Wicks has been good, and yeah. It's
what other weapons? If we're talking about Packers weapons, Josh Jacobs, just one of the best navigators, I feel like, of all the running backs. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that final big run that he had, that it looked like he was bottled up and just finds a perfect cutback.
Beautiful.
He is an awesome, awesome player. So yeah, I think the Packers are a top tier threat in the NFC. I do.
Yeah, they're the 2 seed now, and with the defense playing the way I mean, Micah, I know I say it all the time with the Packers, but like, I cannot believe we got Micah for just 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, which we really could have used Kenny Clark today. But for the most part, 2 first-round picks. Can you imagine if Giannis got traded for 2 firsts?
They're not worth quite as much in the NBA, but it would be like prime Giannis going, well, Micah's not as impactful as like one of the best NBA players just because of the nature of the sport. I agree.
Still, Giannis would go for, if it was first-round picks only, Giannis would go for 15 first-round picks in the NBA.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's tough. It's tough to compare, but I will say, like, they're more important in the NFL, but there's like the philosophy of first-round picks are overvalued. You just want volume. Almost certainly true, right? And with the Rams and the 40, they're probably right about that. And Micah is just so rare and so impactful. Like, yeah, it's made a big deal for Green Bay.
He bends the sorry, no, he bends the edge. He turns back towards Caleb. Caleb escapes and runs, and Micah just like still can go chase him. Like, he's already strained so much to disrupt him, and then like how many other defenders like have the pursuit after the pressure that he does? That's what blew my mind from the game today. I don't think he had any sacks, but the relentlessness was insane.
Yeah, of course. I thought the Bears showed some good stuff too, all things considered. Like, their run game was really, really ferocious. It's super high level. I love the play where Dahlman got Mongai in the end zone and pushed him in. And of course, Caleb. The high level stuff is the high level stuff with him. I mean, obviously he had a really rough first half, but like, damn, man, there really are only a handful of guys who can do what he can do out of structure. And with the quarterback landscape, I think you stick with that, you could really find something. So
it is a good offensive infrastructure. I feel like just the fatigue when you're playing the Bears, you really feel it. You really feel it because they'll mash you. Then you got to go chase Caleb around, and then it's mash you and mash you and mash. It's a lot of energy for your defensive line to have to exert when you play that team. And I just feel like it's going to just get more and more intense as they upgrade their running back room, as they upgrade, every little spot on the line, as they upgrade the receiver room, and Adunze gets to maybe
they just get more experience as a whole. I mean, Loveland, I feel like, has been better as the year gone on, and Burden and Caleb also has a lot of growing to do himself. So I just think like even experience alone is going to get this offense a long way.
Yeah, I think there's going to be games where they get to the fourth quarter and they can score 21 points in the fourth quarter pretty easily, just because like teams are so exhausted after playing like a prime Bears team in the future. I do think that this offense is headed in a really scary direction. They're just not quite there yet with their experience. And the defense is there's just not a lot of long-term pieces. It feels like they don't get pressure very fast at all. And like when it's Billings out there and Sweat and whoever else, right? Jared, Dexter, like they've got some juicy defense 3 techniques, but like overall, there's just not enough speed. They're dead last in terms of time to pressure, so then they need to blitz all the time. And then Jordan Love has the fadeaway cheese where he never needs to step into the blitz. So Love specifically is a really bad matchup for the Bears defense right now. But I feel like if they can get a really disruptive defensive lineman and their secondary gets healthy, I do think the Bears are really they're in a really good spot in their rebuild, is what this game showed. They were the 1 seed. You'd love to beat the Packers and remain what they were and remain at the top of this division. Obviously, there's no reason why you can't win right now, but the future is still really bright in Chicago, and they play again in 2 weeks. They play again in 2 weeks, so they still control.
They invested a lot in the offensive infrastructure. That's like what the big thing they did this offseason, as much as literally any other team, and I think it's paid off. So, and I think Ben Johnson looks like a good head coach. So, they might not be the single offensive or offseason winners if we go back and look at it, but I think they finally really did win an offseason.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty good about them. It is funny that They lost one game. Now they're the 7th seed. But that's how
one seed in the NFC was short-lived, but
it's tough, man.
That's how it goes.
Do we got one more game to talk about?
We do. Sunday Night Football. Houston Texans take down the Kansas City Chiefs. 6-7. The Chiefs are now, and the Texans move to 8-5. That takes them into the playoff picture over the Indianapolis
gives them
Colts.
They were saying on the broadcast like a 90% chance to make it, and the Chiefs
87.
are down to like a 15.
87 and 15, yeah.
So that's pretty rough. I thought Kansas City's offensive line was just too banged up to go toe-to-toe with this Texans defense, unfortunately. Bad game to immediately go down a guy and already be down dudes walking into it. And I think for a lot of this game, they were trying to just drop back, honestly, a little bit less than you maybe would like to otherwise, especially like there's a drive like screen, run, and then throw that immediately gets sacked. Togiai had like a really big sack in this one. But on some level, the Kansas City's issue was just drops as well. I mean, obviously on the final drive, Jesus Christ, Travis Kelce, looking more vaxxed than ever. But also the Texans... The Texans' secondary is just ferocious as well. Petrie had a ridiculous interception. Lassiter had an amazing breakup, and then another interception, and then Stingley had another big bad. I mean, like, all of those guys are just nuts. This is the best defense in the NFL, I think, statistically right now. No, by EPA or DVOA. I mean, they're monsters. I love
by all of it.
Yeah, by everything. So a lot of it, of course, is the super talented defensive line. And Will Anderson is sort of like a depoy level player that's not going to win it in a year where some other dude's having 27 sacks or whatever the hell. But a lot of it is they're just good all around. It's not like they have a weak back seven or just living off a pass rush. So I think that they could be super dangerous in the playoffs.
I do too.
Because offensively, still not totally sold on them, of course. There was a lot of times
Stroud looked really sharp in this one. Like, I know there were a lot of incompletions.
He was up and down.
He was
there were some moments where I'm like, oh, dude. Like, I could see... He
had some good moments, for sure.
I could see we get to playoff time, and I could see 4 straight games where he just doesn't miss.
I think he was inconsistent in this game. I think there was a lot of times where he was dealing with pressure and not necessarily doing the best job of it. I feel like the Texans have a humongous issue where when they get blitzed, or at least when there's quick pressure, they have a hard time getting the ball out quickly. And it's a lot. It's always like this battle between, like, is it going to be Stroud kind of going into this like double back and like loop around where he's not necessarily bad, but he's not like some crazy athlete, and I think that can sometimes catch up with him and cause him to take a few more sacks than you would like. Or is he going to be the Stroud that's like more poised and super accurate and standing in the pocket and being tall and imposing and that type of stuff? So in this game, it was a mixed bag. It was enough to get it done, but I didn't think it was like some... If he was just playing lights out perfect football, I mean, the Texans would be the pick out of the AFC. No doubt, no question right now. It's not quite that good, but it definitely isn't so far off where you're like, well, obviously this is going to collapse before you can get there. Again, especially with a freaky defense like Houston has.
I think they are going to be my pick out of the AFC at this rate, dude.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it, too.
It is... They're the fact that they just didn't like have screen answers or like Nico Collins slant versus the blitz tonight is crazy.
Yes, that's what's crazy. And I think a lot of it is like the play calling. It's like, how many quick options are they giving here? You know, it's like they never wanted to pick it up.
I don't know. But even with this like massive weakness, like I know what it is. It's there. It sucks. But all they do is play cover 1 in quarters, and like you can't beat either coverage because they just rush 4 and the edges wreck shit. And then Lassiter and Stingley is the best corner duo in the league, right? I can't think of a better one off the top of my head.
It's up there.
Panthers have a good one, Matt, but
Browns have a good one.
The Browns have a good, maybe Do they? I guess.
Yeah, Ward and Campbell.
Shout out. The Chiefs, though, on defense, Chris Jones is a top 10 player in the world, I think, still.
That third quarter it was like the last minute before halftime, and then the entire third quarter, I'm like, oh my God, he's the best player in the NFL, dude. He was nuclear.
He is crazy. But as crazy as he is, like, it feels like they get teams to third and long, and then they just give up the third and long. And this season, they are the second worst team in the league in terms of defensive success rate on 3rd and 7+. The Panthers are the worst, Matt. They're number 32. Then it's the Chiefs. Then it's the Ravens. Then it's the Bengals. Then it's the Jets, Giants, Cowboys, Titans. Not a lot of juggernaut defenses there. And the Chiefs are number 31. Yeah. So they're right there at the bottom. Every time it's 3rd and long, I mean, they've got a really, really bad chance at giving the ball back to Mahomes. And it really felt like that tonight, where they were so good. Chris Jones was so good, and then they get to 3rd and 16 and they just give it up. And it shortens the game. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that shortens the game in these Kansas City games. Like they play such ball control football. They have the fewest drives in the league. Kansas City. They have the fewest drives in the league, and they're the most productive offense on those drives in football.
Yeah.
At least going into this game. And I just don't understand why they don't go for it on 4th down more. I don't understand why they're the most conservative 4th down team in the league when this is the case. Like,
except for randomly.
Except for randomly at the end,
they're like, we're going for a psycho 4th down.
For a psycho 4th down after punting on like a 4th and 3 at midfield earlier, after kicking a field goal on a 4th and 1 or whatever it was. Like, right. What are these 4th down decisions? I don't understand that.
It really shows a lack of like process when it comes to strong. It makes you feel like, did you guys kind of change your mind in the middle of that? Because situationally, it really makes no sense to not go for it. And it's like, that is pretty concerning. It's a veteran coaching staff, It's not some guy in year 1.
Yeah, it's Andy Reid. He's going to get fired and coach the Giants, bro. But yeah, I feel like this Chiefs season could have gone completely different if they had like Dan Campbell aggression, because they're just, I mean, who would you rather have on 4th down? It's still to this day, like, I know everybody, I didn't view this as like even like that bad of a Mahomes game is
dude,
even with all the picks that he threw. Like, I just view every Chiefs game through the lens of like, Mahomes has the superhero cape on and just everybody else is selling.
Right.
Like, it seems like that's how it's going when I look at the line.
Everyone except for Kareem Hunt is selling.
Yes.
Even Hunt had like a brutal drop on a 3rd and 2 that they didn't.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, and then they punt, and then they field goal.
But if they hand it off to Hunt, he's picking up a 3rd and 7. So.
Right. Hunt is great on 4th and 1. Like, I just don't understand why they're so conservative with that until the end. And even the end, I didn't even hate that move. Like, sure, it's 4th and a long 1.5, but you always have Mahomes. I think you could go for it anywhere, anytime, any place. Like, I think he gives you a pretty good chance at picking up 4th and 1.5, even when you're on the 30. I don't agree with the idea that that's like taking your defense out of the game, because if they would have held the Texans to the field goal there, or if Chris Jones would have been able to finish that sack, that would have been clutch. And if they went into that final drive down 3 instead of 7, like, I do think that's a very valid defensive stand.
I see what people are saying with that. I saw you talking about this on Twitter, that it doesn't put your defense in a worse position.
Well, it does put your defense in a worse position. My argument is it doesn't
reduce their impact.
Reduce their impact.
I kind of see what they're saying, because you're allowing your offense's success to determine how many points the opposing team puts up in that situation, right? Like, if you punt and the defense forces a 3 and out, no harm done, punt back almost certainly, right? But if your defense forces a 3 and out, it's still 3 points and now you're down, and the score was 10-10 at the time. I don't know what the analytics say about the 4th down going for it. And
they usually say go.
They usually say go. I mean, rarely do people go when they're not supposed to. And I trust the analytics on that. So I'm not sitting there being like, this is why the Chiefs lost. It's like, it's not. It's more nuanced than that. But when people say you're like, not, you got to trust the defense, I agree there's some truth to like trust it go, but in that situation, it's like, okay, they've only let up 10 points and you would be giving the Texans the lead if you don't get this. You're putting the points of the other team in the hands of the offense. I get their approach on that. I don't think it's crazy.
I get it too. I mean, obviously going for it from the 30 is risky.
The whole issue is that there was no consistency anyway. That was the problem.
That's
it's like, man,
right.
I would have gone for it all 3 times, and maybe then you wouldn't have been in that scenario, or 3 times, however many times it was. Like, I'd just consistently be going for it if I had Mahomes. I really do not understand, and I think it puts a lot of strain on your defense when you give it to the Texans at the 30. But if you really have an elite defense and if the defense is doing like a great job, it's the same thing with any great player. You give them more strain. And I think when you go for it and make them defend a short field and say, well, you've been doing such a good job, I think it's okay to say, you've been doing such a good job, bail us out and hold us to a field goal here. If you had a really bad defense, maybe you'd want to punt and make them drive the whole length. Like if you had a really bad I don't know. Either way you look at it, I think going for it is valid. I think going for it with Mahomes and the season on the line is like fine. And they got the ball back with a chance to win. And then Kelsey dropped another pass that led to a pick. That's the 3rd time this season that's happened.
Yeah, I guess their path, I'm trying to think of their path to the playoffs right now. They're the 10th seed. They're below Baltimore. I thought they beat Baltimore, though.
Yeah, they did.
What's the tiebreaker that's keeping them below Baltimore? I guess Miami is also 6 wins, so maybe there's like a 3-way thing that's going on there. That's got to be what it is. I'm assuming that you could be above Baltimore even. Like if Kansas City went out if they're 10-7. If the Colts kind of fall apart here and you've got the tiebreaker on them, which I feel like is relatively likely. And then it's probably the Chargers who you need to have fall apart because you can beat them. They play the Eagles, they play the Cowboys, Texans, and Broncos. That's the path. Chargers, disaster. The Colts are about cooked, then you win out. And Kansas City plays like the Titans and the Raiders. It's not totally unthinkable. 15% is still 15%. Mm-hmm. But now you're very much in like, we need some kind of specific help. Like the Chargers need to go 2-3 to finish or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, if the Chargers and Colts collapse, which isn't the most unimaginable thing in the whole world.
Chargers need to go 2-2 in games that you don't play them in, and then you have to win out. That would get you in, assuming that the Colts also don't go better than 2-2, which would be like pretty crazy because they play all very real teams and they're on their 3rd string quarterback, but who knows?
Yeah, and the Chargers play all very real teams too. They don't play anybody eliminated.
Yeah, whereas the Chiefs have some like, no disrespect, some probably not so real games. Although they also have to play the Chargers and the Broncos, so it's not a gimme. No. But they have to stop dropping 10 passes in a game.
You do.
That's my thing with the Chiefs is just like catch the ball and like all these problems are over. Like as much as Andy Reid is maligned and as much as Mahomes is maligned and Chris Jones and the defense and Spags and everybody, it's like none of this would matter if Rashee Rice was having a good year.
You zoom in on all of that because they're not scoring because they're not ever catching the ball and they're like Kelsey is dropping it and then it's getting intercepted, and stuff like that. It's pretty weak.
It is. But hey, that's the way things are right now. Houston's going to win the AFC Championship game, and we'll deal with it. And the Packers are going to win the NFC Championship game. We'll get Texans Packers in the Super Bowl. Theo, how do you think that would play out?
I think the Packers could win that. I would be pretty happy if it was the Texans in the. I mean, I'd be pretty happy if the Packers got out of the NFC. Like, there's no AFC team that I'm like that scared of, or that I don't think the Packers could beat.
What team are you most scared of?
We can never beat the Eagles, and the Rams are probably still the best team in the conference. And I think the Seahawks might be a little bit more complete from top to bottom, at least on defense. So if we can get out of the NFC, no one in the AFC would be as scary as some of those teams. I mean, even the 49ers, like, fuck, we always lose to the 49ers. Like, if we get there, I don't care. If we face the number 1 seed Broncos, like, I think Bo Nix is playing pretty well right now. Like, I think the Broncos are scary. Like, sure, they'd be tough, but I think the Rams and the Eagles are just a little bit more concerning.
I think that's fair. All right. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Stay Hot. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back for some more NFL football action. And again, like Theo mentioned earlier, subscribe to the Patreon for some auxiliary content, talking about the NBA. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of good stuff. Week 15 will be upon us. We've got Monday Night Football coming up. And then we'll probably go live here in a couple of weeks, I imagine, for one more regular season game before the playoffs get started. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. But until then and until next time, as always, from your favorite fellows here at Stay Hot, we will catch you on the flippity flop.